Okay, in this video we're going to look at actually how to add and subtract two fractions that we call rational expressions. They have unknown numbers in the denominator. Now, the process is exactly like you learned in probably the 4th grade of how to combine fractions together. The difference is we don't know what some of the numbers are, so it has to be all strategy and no calculator work involved really. So let's take a look at these fractions I put there. The first thing we have to do is we know that basically these have different denominators. We may not know what the denominators are, but we know they're different numbers. And so we need a common denominator. Now, the common denominator, since these are totally different values, x plus 2 is a completely different number than x, and since I don't know anything else about them, I'm going to have to basically say that x times x plus 2 would be my denominator. I just have to multiply them together. That's really the only option I have if they're two totally different values. So that's my common denominator. Now here's the part where things usually get mixed up, so let's follow it closely. I'm going to take that denominator and write it under each fraction. Okay. X times x minus 2. Now, I need to make sure that I change these fractions to have this denominator on the bottom, the new denominator, but I don't want to change its meaning, which means I have to adjust the top number. The top number can't just be a 1 and it can't just be a 7. It's got to be something else that makes these things mean the same ratio. So if we just take a little quick break from this and remind ourselves of a simple problem, for example, 1/2 plus 2/3, okay, we could look at this problem and say, oh, I know how to do that. I need to have a 6 on the bottom. That's my common denominator. Well, we're going to have to look at this and say, okay, 2 needed to change into 6. So what did I have to multiply by for that to happen? Well, it was missing a 3. I had to multiply by 3. Well, that means I have to take the top number and multiply it by 3 also. So 1 times 3 is 3. Now, I know 3/6 is a fraction you can handle in your head, but I'm trying to look at process. Okay, let's look at the other side. To turn 3 into 6, well, it's missing a 2. I have to multiply by 2. So I need to multiply the top here by 2 also. So I do the same thing to the top that I would do to the bottom, and that would become 4. And now I could add them together and get 7/6. Okay, now let's apply what we just did here to something that has unknown numbers. Okay, so we're looking at how to adjust this for things we don't know. All right, so let's take a look at this one right here. Here is the, oh no, let's pretend I didn't do that. Let's do this. X minus 2. Okay, good. Fixed it before I messed up too bad. All right, let's take a look at this right here. This already had an x plus 2, correct? So the only thing it was missing was an x. So what I needed to do was multiply the bottom here by x, but that means I'm also going to multiply the top by x. So this becomes 7x. And notice if I cancel those x's out, I get right back to where I started. Let's look at the other one. This denominator was missing an x plus 2. It needed to be multiplied by that. So I'm going to multiply this by x plus 2. And I get x plus 2. Yes, there's a 1 in front of it, and I'm actually going to put that there to remind you of something. Now, when you think back to what we did on the simple example, once we got the bottom numbers the same, well, all we did from that point on was we just made one fraction with it, and we just left the bottom the same. It has the common denominator. That's the whole reason for getting a common denominator. But on top, I'm going to put the things that I have together. Okay? Minus 1 times x plus 2. And you might ask yourself, why did I bother putting the 1 there? I wanted to remind you that we still have a negative 1, and it gets distributed to everything else. So this really becomes 7x minus 1x minus 2 over x times x minus 2. And since I only have room over here, we'll write it this way. I have like terms here, so it becomes 6x minus 2 over x times x minus 2. And a lot of people at this point want to go, oh, we have an x minus 2, let's get rid of those and cancel them out. Well, we can't. Remember, this is one number. It's one quantity that I don't know. This is a different quantity that I don't know, and this is a other completely different quantity that I still don't know. So until I do know what those numbers are, I can't really go around canceling them out. This is as good as it's going to get. Okay? And what you're going to find is a lot of times when you add and subtract fractions like this, they tend to get more and more complicated. They don't always clean up nicely. You working with multiplying and dividing, those fractions a lot of times are set up nicely to kind of cancel a lot of stuff out. These ones, don't expect that to be the case. A lot of times you just end up with an ugly looking fraction at the end, and until you know what that x value is, you can't do much else with it.